This is not advice. This is an audit, a raw, unfiltered examination of the code you live by. We are here to question the foundations you've built your life upon, especially the ones you inherited without inspection. Most men assume that if many people believe something, it must be right. They find safety in the herd, mistaking its movement for direction. They confuse numbers with truth. They confuse popularity with correctness. This is the first and most fundamental error, a cognitive shortcut that leads directly to a life of quiet mediocrity. That single assumption has destroyed more men than failure ever did, because it prevents them from ever truly attempting anything of worth. It is a poison that paralyzes ambition. Truth has never been democratic. It is a mountain, not a marketplace. It has never waited for consensus or a vote of confidence. It simply is, whether it is acknowledged by one man or by none. Truth has never cared how many people were comfortable with it, or how many were offended by its sharp edges. The majority has always been late to reality, late to discipline, late to consequence. They arrive at the scene only after the battle is over, eager to celebrate a victory they never fought for, or to mourn a loss they did nothing to prevent. Most men follow what surrounds them. They absorb the values of their environment like a sponge, never asking if the water is clean. They call it normal life. They call it culture. They call it the way things are done. This is the path of least resistance, the gentle slope downward that feels like comfort, but is, in fact, a slow surrender of the soul. But normal has never meant correct. Normal is simply the average of a collective, and the average is, by definition, mediocre. Normal has never meant strong. Strength is forged in resistance, not in conformity. And normal has never meant aligned with God, or with the highest version of yourself. That path is narrow. It is steep. It is almost always walked alone. This audit is your invitation to step off the well-trodden road and begin that climb. The crowd does not move with vision. It moves with a powerful yet blind momentum. Vision is the act of seeing what is not yet there, of charting a course towards a destination only you can perceive. It is a deliberate, conscious act of creation. Momentum, on the other hand, is simply the inertia of the masses. And momentum does not require direction, only mass. It is a force that carries you along without asking for your consent or your destination. A current that feels powerful, but leads nowhere in particular. That is why the majority drifts. That is why the majority reacts, perpetually caught in the undertow of popular opinion and fleeting trends. That is why the majority repeats yesterday while calling it progress, mistaking movement for advancement. A man who follows the crowd does not need conviction. He only needs permission, and the crowd is always happy to give it. Conviction is a solitary burden, a standard held alone. Permission is a shared comfort, a diffusion of responsibility that makes even the most aimless path feel safe. Many men lose their way not because they lack intelligence, but because they abandon God, and with Him, the self-belief He gives. They trade the divine spark of individuality for the dull warmth of the herd. When God is removed, self-belief collapses into imitation. Men stop trusting the inner compass placed within them. They look outward for validation, for direction, for a map, forgetting that the most important journeys are charted from within, guided by a faith that needs no external proof. In a world that prizes certainty, the easiest path is to outsource judgment to numbers. It's a quiet surrender of personal conviction, a trade of authenticity for acceptance. They ask not just if something is normal, but if it will keep them safe within the herd. Is it popular enough to shield them from criticism? Is it so widely accepted that they can disappear into the consensus, absolved of the difficult work of thinking for themselves? This reliance on the collective becomes a fortress against the discomfort of individual accountability. In this fortress, the most important questions are abandoned. They stop asking whether it is true, whether it is right, whether it is demanded of them. The pursuit of truth is replaced by the pursuit of consensus. The moral compass is traded for a social barometer. The inner voice that calls for courage and integrity is drowned out by the roar of the crowd, a roar that promises safety but delivers only stagnation. Successful men do not move this way. Leaders do not move this way. They understand that true progress is never born from consensus. A leader walks a path that cannot yet be validated, a path that is not crowded, a path that is often misunderstood, not because he is rebellious, but because he sees what others refuse to face. He accepts the burden of clarity in a world content with confusion. His journey is defined by an internal map, drawn with the ink of principle and purpose. Vision always isolates before it elevates. This initial solitude is not a punishment, but a crucible. It is in the quiet of the lonely path that conviction is forged into an unbreakable resolve. The crowd hates this because vision exposes their comfort, discipline exposes their excuses, and conviction exposes their weakness. The leader's quiet determination is a mirror reflecting their own abdicated responsibility, and for that they will resent him until the day they are forced to follow the path he cleared. So they mock it, they minimize it, they call it extreme. If you walk into a room where everyone is naked and you are the only one clothed, the crowd will call you insane, not because you are wrong, but because your presence threatens their agreement. The majority does not need truth. It needs reinforcement. This is why men fear standing alone, not because they are weak, but because isolation feels like insanity when numbers disagree. History is ruthless on this point. The majority has always crucified the truth first and celebrated it later. Every moral collapse was once popular. Every decay was once normal. Every fall was once justified by numbers. And when consequences arrive, the crowd disappears. No man will stand with you when results are due. No majority will carry your weight. No crowd will answer for your life. Only you will. This is why discipline is lonely. This is why leadership is rare. This is why alignment with God demands separation. You are not called to blend. You are called to stand, not loudly, not arrogantly, but unmovably. We help men build discipline and leadership so they can strengthen their families and, in turn, improve society. But understand this clearly: society will never reward you for resisting it. It will only reward you after it needs what you built. Do not wait for agreement. Do not wait for applause. Do not wait for permission. Numbers do not define truth. They only reveal how many men are afraid to stand without them. This doctrine does not ask for belief. It demands recognition. Adjust accordingly.